Hello everyone, and this is Odd McBump, and welcome to a new series called Odd Stories. This is the show where I tell you guys about my many stories, both playing as a player and DMing Dungeons and Dragons. Now, the topic of the day is about a session that I threw for my friends to try to get them into Dungeons and Dragons. So, basically, I told them about a lot of other people's stories and my own stories and got them convinced to try it. So, they all agreed, and I planned out a mini campaign, and I basically made their characters, but, you don't want to overload your first time players, with too many numbers and stuff, because that might just drive them away. But, I'll get around to teaching them how to do it. But anyway, just going through the characters. We had the main leader of the group, which he named his guy Link. He's half-elf fighter that spec'd into being an archer. Yep, he was original. It kind of was, because he took on like a trait that allowed him to have like an animal pet. It was pretty interesting. Now, the second party member, just going in no particular order, was a barbarian named Lash. Now, Lash, he was a half-orc, so he's very accustomed to fighting harder than normal orcs to prove his worth. And because of this, he's got like a very bad lust for battle that you'll hear about really quickly. Our third member of our party was an orc named Ben. Guess whose name it is that's playing him. Anyway, Ben was an orc that he was a berserker orc that wielded one battle axe, but he had dual wielding feet, so if push came to shove, he could dual wield. And don't get barbarian and berserkers mixed up in my campaign, that'll get you shot. Now anyway, the fourth and last member of our party, we needed a healer, and I use homebrew stuff, so my friend wanted to play a water bender. Now, certain DMs wouldn't let this fly because he does function like a water bender. If you put water in front of him, he can move it without touching it. He has to move around, but he doesn't have to touch it, and he can freeze it. And a lot of DMs, might not have liked this, but I was like, you know what? You don't really have a lot of dexterity. Your strength is not so great. Water is your thing. So, I decided I was going to allow it.
So our story starts out with Link, who has received a mission from Lord Bino Tygar. And yes, before any of you ask, or anybody knows and ask, I did kind of rip this off from another popular YouTuber who I will not name because, I don't really want this to be a shout-out channel. But this was really more for an homage and to pressure them to watch more D&D stories and basically get them more into D&D. But I'm just gonna exclude all the references. If they watch it, they'll understand. So he's coming back from a mission given to him by Lord Bino Tygar, and his mission was to collect a rare set of rings that were supposed to have some kind of untapped magical quality. So he's traveling back on a caravan, and he's stopped by kobolds, and he looks out and says, "Why are they following me?" I'm like, "I don't know, roll your perception." He rolls, and he's like, I tell him, these kobolds seem to want their earrings back. And he's like, oh crap, I pull out my bow. So he wins that fight pretty easily. One of the kobolds gets away, but it's fine. So he makes his way back to the town of Franz. Yes, there's going to be more references to another guy, but like I said, this is really more of an homage and to try to pressure them to watch more D&D stories. So, after they arrive back in town, Link goes to meet with Lord Beano Tygar, which he rewards him with, I think, like 200 gold for this mission. And he's been working for him for about 3 years, so they have a good relationship. So, Link leaves for the tavern because I guess he's going off of RPG logic. If something happens, it's going to happen in a tavern. So, he walks in with his wolf, and he's watching a poker game, or it's like a very, very, primitive style of poker. So, he sees that the 4 people that are playing is an old robed figure, which he assumes as being an orc from the skin. His face is shrouded in a cowl, so he can't really make it out, but he can make out a beard and the skin color, which he presumes is an orc. 2 human twins that had straight brown hair and green eyes, and at first glance he thought it was a gnome, but in the corner was actually a song elf, a sub-race of elf that is homebrew. Yeah, I don't care. So, they're more like small, singing kind of elves, usually bards. So he sits next to the song elf because, he's a half elf. He just groups up with her, and he watches the poker game. About 3 hours earlier, in another part of, a town over, General Satara, a 17-year-old general of a small band of water tribes, is recuperating from his last battle with Lash. Lash was, just go back to the story. Satara had been knocked out by a firebender, but Lash was able to save him, and they took over one of the firebending forts. And a box arrived for General Satara. When Satara woke up, he was given the box, which only a waterbender could open. It was made in such a way that only water from a waterbender could open it. So he opens up and he reads a letter that basically gives him a lead to a firebender that's going to be in Dakota Fields. So he has to go to Franz to be able to meet up with his contact. Lash falls asleep in the bed because he's been guarding him all night, so he's tired. So Satara leaves Lash behind, and this is where it was funny because Lash was a total of 1 hour behind him because he woke up an hour late and then realized that he was gone, and he chased after him. So fast forward, Satara now walks into the tavern. And he goes up to the barman and he rents a room, which shows that he was a part of the waterbending group. So the bartender takes Satara up to the second floor to go bring him to his room. And on the way, he's basically saying, what time he's going to have to leave in for the caravan in the morning. So, as that's happening, I think, about 30 minutes after that happened, Link actually rolled a perception check, and he saw that the 2 twins with brown hair and green eyes, that they were actually cheating in the poker game. So he writes a note on a napkin in Elvish, telling that the song elf that, basically they're cheating. So when that happened, Lash actually stepped it overtime and actually made it a lot earlier than he should have. And he walks in and he notices that they're cheating as well. So he walks by the first time and just kind of coughs and goes, cheaters. And no one hears him. And then he goes by the second time, cheaters. still no one says anything. So the third time, he takes his big breath in and yells as loud as he can, "Cheaters!" The twins collectively stand up together and proceed to challenge Lash to a bar fight. And the way Lash is, he's not allowed to decline this challenge. So they start fighting. And Link and Nia decide they're going to stay out of it. Or you don't know who Nia, that's the name of the song elf. And then Link proceeds to look over at Nia and go, "I was raised by wolves," as like some kind of stupid pickup line. And she turns back and goes, "It shows." And everybody at the table decided that this was so funny. They decided that he was working on this pickup line for like days on end, and he was shut down the first time he ever used it. It was great. So after they basically talked like that, the fight continues, and these two level 0 humans beat the absolute crap out of them. Like, it was so sad. So after they'd beaten him basically to a pulp, Lash then decides to pull out a weapon, and he's going to fight for real now. So he begins swiping, and he's still losing this fight. Even though these are two level 0 humans, and there's two of them, they're still level 0, and he's getting owned as a level 2. So everyone's like on the ground rolling on how bad that he can't even hit a fly at this point. He finally lands a good solid hit and drops one of them. But the other one is still putting up a pretty good fight. So all of a sudden, a woman runs down the stairs of the tavern, turns to her left, and sees this fight happening. She has 2 shields strapped on her back. She grabs the first one and sends it flying, and it misses Lash. She grabs the second one and is winding it up for a second attack. Then Link stands up and is going to go talk to this new girl, and he does the same exact crap. I was raised by wolves. And this time she doesn't even pay attention to him because it's the middle of a fight. So she sends her second shield flying, and it like scrapes the side of Lash's face. So Lash thinks that everyone in this bar is trying to kill him, and jumps behind one of the tables and starts banging his shield and his against his or it would be his axe against his shield, but whatever. And he starts letting out this like Chewbacca style growl. Only then did Link decide he was going to intervene, and he says, whoa, guys. You know, this fight really does not even need to continue at this point. I think we can all just walk away and act like this never happened. And of course, normally this would never have worked, but he rolled diplomacy and he rolled a 20. So these hostile twins now turn not indifferent, it was unfriendly. And they storm out, but right before they leave, they're confronted by the woman who threw the shields, and she waves her hand over the injured one and says some incantations and actually heals him.